Hi, Dr. Danny Scarhill here, the founder of the webinar Chiropractor.com, and I'm here at the UCA seminar in the UK today, and Dr. Liz Anderson Peacock is joining me today to share a few clinical pearls of wisdom. How are you doing today, Liz?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome, and my subscribers, I will speak for them and they will be very welcome as well.
Oh, good. Great.
So I heard you say today on stage, you're talking about to build practices, you need to know, like, and trust yourself first and foremost, and for people to come to you and stay with you, they need to know, like, and trust you as well. Can you elaborate on that? Because that was fascinating.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest thing in relationships is, first of all, in knowing ourselves. Who are we? Why are we doing what we're doing? It really sets an anchor point. And as B.J. Palmer said, is that people cannot anchor to an unanchored mind. So really knowing, who are we as a person? What are our core values? What is our purpose for being in practice? I talked a lot about our why. Why is it we're in practice? And the why to me is not about to make money or to make an income or to even to say to make a difference, because that to me is not an emotional why. The why needs to be about how do you inspire yourself that when you're having a difficult time, it gets you out of bed, that you can be excited, you can be working hard and feeling like you're fulfilling your purpose, your reason to be there. So in doing that, it really is knowing ourselves and exploring self. What makes each one of us tick? How do we work best? What are our strengths, and really moving forward with our strengths and managing our weaknesses and developing those weaknesses into strengths. So putting ourselves in a course. So with that come in that knowingness, in that certainty of who we are, what we stand for, what we don't stand for. With that, we have to also, hopefully what comes from that is we like ourselves, because when we like ourselves, then that becomes also an attractor, and that puts off a certain level of energy, which affects everything around us. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Most of it is tone and body language, and only 7% is words. So you can walk up to people and then you can know whether they like themselves or not. And that'll ooze out of them and it transcends any words at all. So when I come to a doctor, you want to think, what kind of a doctor do you want to come from or go to? I want one that knows who they are, that likes themselves, and they trust their judgment. So the trust really comes from that level of certainty, the unconscious competence in your clinical skills. And then what happens with that, it allows innate to flow through you, so that when you know your skills at a level that you don't have to think you do, it allows you to be present. It allows you to be really with the person in front of you. What's going on for them? And you're going to start to pick up using your sixth sense, that gut instinct or the heart instinct or innate, whatever you want to call it. You're going to start picking things up very intuitively because you are in this place of presence. So that's really liking and trusting yourself. And as a result of that, patients you're going to become an attractor, and the public is going to hopefully get to know who you are. They're going to get a sense of what do you stand for. If you're involved and you care about people, you're going to be involved in the public. So through that, they get to meet you, greet you, have a sense of what you're all about. They may not utilize your services at that point in time, but they'll remember who you are. And so at another point in time, you may be used, or they may refer someone else to you through their experience of you. So they've got to get to know what you're all about. They've got to like you as well, obviously, and they've got to trust you. For them to refer somebody or to bring their family in or to go in themselves, they've got to believe what you say is worthwhile and that it's accurate and it's going to be representing their interests at heart. So really that's the whole know, like, and trust funnel, that when we create that funnel and people fall into the funnel, then they come through the bottom as a relationship and not a transaction. It's a relationship that you're building over time, and one experience builds on the next experience, and it's an interest that we have with people, really.
That's fantastic. It's a unique way of looking at things. I love that.
Good.
Fantastic. So I get a lot of questions from my subscribers, Liz, about two big ones really. One would be, how do I get more new patients, both from internal and external sources? And when I get hold of them, how do I keep them? So retention.
Right, okay. For me, I built my practice from literally internal resources. It was inside talks that I did, and I talked the tick. I basically taught patients about what chiropractic is. And because I could enroll them in a vision that wasn't for me, it wasn't about me, it was about the world. It was about the, if we see someone hurting, then it is unacceptable for us to stand by and watch them suffer. So we need to, meaning we, you, and the patient, or the patient and I, we need to help these people. We need to help them find a chiropractor, because if everyone was under chiropractic care in this world, how would our world look different? And it's up to me, meaning it's up to the patient, to help enroll them in that whole cause. So really that's what I did, is I like to say that I grew my practice from above down, inside out.
Yeah.
And that I inspired patients to want to refer, and that's exactly what would happen. And I mean, I had star patients that they would literally refer in families. They would take home groups of new patient forms, give them to the families, bring the families in, book their new patient and as new patients, and basically the families just had to show up. All the paperwork was done, but they were that motivated because they understood the why in what I was doing for chiropractic, and they were part of that solution. And I'll tell you, I praise the heck out of those people, because that's a huge step and a huge vision that they have. And have you heard of the starfish story at all?
Oh yeah, yeah, throwing
Yeah.
it back in.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the whole point, right? Is that you don't let something suffer. And because you see one person suffer, you can help one person, and it's one person at a time. It's one starfish you throw back in the ocean at a time, because it makes a difference to that one. You know, that's the thing, is it's the person in front of you that we have this relationship with. So that's really how I built my practice. I did a lot of evening lectures, workshops for patients. And the patients that attended that, they essentially got, they got better results because they were more in tune with what I was, the philosophy. They were aligned with that philosophy and that paradigm. They had greater autonomy and control in their care, because it basically allowed me to say, you need to be responsible for your health. This is what I'm here for, but health also it requires other things that you need to do on your own time. But that's going to help me do my job as well. And for me, externally, the only thing I would say I ever did is whenever I was invited out to speak, I spoke.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. And I said the same message all the time. It's about chiropractic, what it is. We're non-duplicating. We're different from every other healthcare profession. The reason why we're different is because of the chiropractic story. And I would tell the chiropractic story, and people would come in because they were looking for something different. They weren't looking for more of the same of what they can get everywhere else and get it paid for, probably.
Yeah.
It was really teaching them about that tick. Your second question on retention, that really also came out of just, I believe that chiropractic care should be for a lifetime, and that I think just oozes through me. But at the same time, I'm never going to default a patient for whatever type of care they choose. It's about meeting a person with where they're at. It's not about me shoveling in wellness care from the get-go, because they have to be in a place where they're going to be able to hear what I need to say. So the example I gave this morning is, if you have someone in a hot, an emergency situation, they're not willing at that point to hear all about wellness care. It's just not in their lexicon. They're just not going to hear it. So you have to wait until things start to calm down, and then you're planting seeds, and then you're allowing these seeds to start to grow. So really how it ended up coming out was, I work in cycles of care. So I don't deliver year-long programs or anything like that. I just say, look, we work from point A to point B, and at point B we're going to measure the results, and from those results it's going to dictate which direction we need to go in, whether it'll be a change in your frequency, a change in your technique, or whatever it may be. But we're always moving from one exam to another exam to another exam. So I'm always accountable to an end point. Now, as a patient starts to decrease in their frequency because they're holding their adjustments longer, obviously that time between exams is going to change in duration. But through that, a lot of the questions were very much, what's important for you in your life? And so what would end up coming is a discussion from saying, okay, I think best for you is going to be starting you off at 3 times a week, and we're going to reassess you at 4 weeks. The discussion eventually becomes, Danny, with your life and your stress levels and how you eat and how you work and the position you're in at work all day long, how often do you think you need to be adjusted to be really functioning the best you want to be functioning? And by that time I know you well enough to say what things I know that you love to do in life. So I'm going to throw those things in there because that's what's important to you, not to me, but to you. And it's connecting with that. And then you're going to say something, which usually is going to be sort of once a week or twice a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever it is. But it's usually going to be about every couple of weeks that most people will say, well, I think that's going to really be the best and ideal for what I need in my life. So, you know, when you've said it and now you understand why you've said it because of your life and your lifestyle, then you now are this patient that is enrolled and you've got buy-in with the whole process. And because you've said it, you have an understanding of what you're willing to commit to as well. So really, that's how I started to deal really with retention, is really getting people to reflect on our lives aren't perfect. Because they're not perfect, what things can we improve upon? But from there, when they're still not perfect, where do we need to go that's going to help us to reset? Because really a subluxation is a byproduct, it's an effect of living not in accordance to our genetics, not living in accordance to the perfect life, which nobody has a perfect life. We went through that whole thing this morning about excellence versus perfection. So, you know, it depends on where a person's at, because some people already have enough damage that they need more supportive care. They can't get to wellness care. And at other times you're dealing with children that are going to be up and down in their frequency of how often you're going to see them, because the care is reflective of what's going on in their life. So if I have a young little athlete, I might be seeing them a lot more than just a kid that's, you know, just doing regular kind of kid stuff. When kids get back into school and they start slouching, I'm going to see them probably a little bit more again versus when they're sort of out and about in the summertime. So care is a reflection of our life, is really how it comes down to.
That's really good, that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Good.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Good.
So I believe you've got a new book coming out, haven't you? Liz?
Yes, well, I have my book Pearls of Wisdom,
Yeah.
which of course is online right now, and it's available through different groups, and that's great. And then the next book coming out is going to be called Best Version of You. And I'm really excited about that because that's really incorporating the transformational process of change and how do we apply that in our lives. Because at any one point in time, only 20% of the population is ready for change. So where this becomes significant is when we're asking our patients to change and they're not ready. We're not recognizing that they're not in the action stage. And for us doctors, we all know what that's like. It's like hitting your head against a wall, getting people to change. They're just not ready for it. Or worse, you get the husband of the wife that's in the consultation like this, you know, and say, and you're like, you really don't want to be here, do you? Nope. Well, you know what? Wait, let's have you wait. I'm not going to force you through anything. If you really don't want to be here, I really don't want you here at this point in time. You're not ready. And so a lot of it is, you know, how can we implement this in our own life, and then how does this translate as well into practice? So that's going to be available, and people can certainly meet me online for that. You know, drliz.ca, easy to get to me. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and so people will be able to know when that comes out, and it'll probably be out in a year, is what I think.
Excellent stuff.
Yes.
Well, a big thank you for taking out some time to speak to us and enlighten us and inspire us with some pearls of wisdom.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
very much, Dr.
Hey,
Liz.
you're so welcome, and thank all of you for what you do as well, because you make a difference one person at a time. So thank you.
You've been listening to Dr. Danny Scarhill, the founder of the webinar Chiropractor.com, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.